What is up, you guys? Welcome back to the channel. It's Shady here, and today we're going to be diving right back into 90 Day Fiancé the other way. This is going to be the recap of the tell-all. I am a little late, okay? So don't come for me. I already know, okay? I know. But yeah, we're finally getting into it. We're going to be recapping part 1 and 2 of the tell-all in this video, and we're going to go couple by couple instead of me just like hopping around like how they did in the actual tell-all. I think in my last video, if you guys want to watch it, I'll link it in the corner here. In my last video, I did everything up until the very last episode before the tell-all, but I honestly can't really remember there being that much going on in that very last episode. Besides Shekinah and Sarper, they do end up getting engaged, but now they're trying to work out like, you know, where they're going to live and everything. Statler and Dempsey, I don't think there was much of an update. Josh and Lily, they do end up getting married. They do end up getting everything settled with their wedding planner and paying him for the venue and all that stuff. They do have their traditional Chinese wedding. Everything seems to be at the time going well, but it does go downhill after that. Now, Corona and Ingi. Corona is still going back and forth in her head. She's just like, do I really want to leave? I don't know. James and Tata. James ends up leaving to go back to the States because he's just like, yeah, we need money. This is not going to work out. So he leaves the parents, and the parents feel as though he lied to them. And I'm just like, I mean, not really, because things happen, circumstances change. He said that the plan was for them to stay over there and to live. But the thing is, if he doesn't have an income, he's gonna have to change that. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, it wasn't a promise. He's just like, this is the plan for now. And lastly, we have Joanne and Sean. It seems at the time that Joanne is kind of going back on wanting to move to Ireland because her son seemed to really be struggling with her not being in the States with them. So she's just looking at Sean like, yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to move. Sean is just like, well, what am I gonna do? I can't sit and wait for you until your sons are like 18. Like, that's not fair for us to be married that whole time and I can't see you. So yeah, but that's pretty much where we leave off with all the couples in that, you know, for the last episode anyway. And now we're gonna dive into this tell-all. So Shekinah and Sarper, there was a lot going on there. Sarper is now in the US, even though he was trying to push back on coming over. I don't know if he's going to be staying, but at the same time, it was like, I mean, Shekinah has her daughter to take care of. You're probably going to have to come back to the States because Shekinah isn't really gelling well with Turkey. And she also wasn't really doing that great of a job with trying to learn the language, let's be honest. But either way, I know that learning a language is difficult and it takes a lot of time in some cases, but at the same time, it's like, it didn't feel like she was trying at all. So yeah, they eventually end up in the States. I thought they would. I don't know why Sarper thought that proposing was gonna change anything. Like, y'all are moving to the States, sir. But now she has some worries about him being in LA because there's a lot going on and there's a lot of women, and Sarper would say things every now and again playfully as a joke, and it would make me think like, this man is probably gonna have a major wandering eye. So there's a possibility that he might be cheating on her behind the scenes. But either way, he keeps trying to push this whole like, I'm a loyal guy thing. And also they bring up that somehow, I guess Sarper thought that it was gonna be a good idea to contact a woman that he used to see or sleep with, or I don't know. I don't know what the connection was. I can't remember. But either way, this was a person that he knew and used to date to some extent. And he calls her because she's a therapist. And Shekinah was like, I need you to go to therapy. And Sarper thought in the back of his mind, like, oh, Shekinah wants me to go to therapy and this girl is a therapist. I'm gonna call her up. Like, what? Like, so yeah, literally everybody else was just like, this is not making any sense. Like, huh? And then it's also revealed that he has been talking with her for quite some time. The timelines are strange. Now, Shekinah obviously has some double standards when it comes to Sarper. She definitely doesn't want him hanging out with any females or any female friends, any women. So, you know, you would think if that's the case for him, that she also wouldn't have any male friends or hang out with any, you know, guy friends. But that's not the case. She is continuing to have her guy friends. So I'm like, how is that fair, Shekinah? But she sees no issues with that. So I don't know. But anyway, Shekinah is interesting. I don't know how to describe that one. But they did show up eating sticks of butter because they're on the carnivore diet, or like a high protein, high fat diet, I think is what they said. So I was like, but do you have to really eat sticks of butter? Anyway, like, yeah, so basically they're on their new health kick, I guess, to lose weight. So let's move on to Statler and Dempsey. So this one's gonna be short because they didn't even show up. They broke up, which is what I think everyone expected. But the thing is, I thought they were gonna at least like come on and explain what happened. I think you kind of owe us that because you were on the show. Even if you talk for just a couple of minutes or argue for a couple of minutes, at least you would have said something and left it all on the table. You know what I mean? But I've been hearing so many things about Statler exposing Dempsey for the liar that she is, and she's a scammer and all this stuff. I've been seeing so many like videos and like clippings of things, and I'm just like, what is going on? There was a lot being said behind the scenes. None of that was actually said at the tell-all because they weren't there. So that was a little irritating that they didn't even show up. But they broke up, which is what I think everybody knew was gonna happen. I'm curious to know what happened to that camper van though, because that was a lot of money. Okay, so now Statler, of course, has to go back to the States and rebuild her life. I don't know in terms of Dempsey, like what she was planning on doing. I doubt she was like put in the hole that deeply compared to Statler, because Statler, let's be honest, was sacrificing a lot more. But the thing is, that's what she chose to do. You're a grown woman, you make your own decisions. So I can't really entirely feel all that bad. So it is what it is. Now, Josh and Lily, I am going to be honest, I think they're going to end up getting a divorce. I think they're trying to hold on to something that isn't there. And they're also still having some intimacy issues. And what makes it even weirder is how involved Lily's daughter is in their relationship and in their marital affairs. I think Lily exposes way too much. And it got so strange when the daughter literally was like, why don't you F my mom? She literally says that. Why don't you F my mom? And I'm just like, what? Everybody just looked around and was like, this girl is crazy. I would not be that involved in my mom's ex-life, okay? Like, I would not want to know what's going on in her bedroom. Okay, I don't want to know what my parents are doing. I don't want to know. I really want to be kept in the dark. So I've never seen a child that involved in their parents' affairs, like at all. Like it's really strange. So there's that issue. And then also we still have the issue of Josh not being able to work, not being able to contribute financially. And Lily, I guess, is still occasionally bringing it up and he still feels a ways about that. But the thing is, it's like, well, what can you do? You know, like, can you work remotely or like, can you do like anything? Like, what are the rules here? I just don't know. I just don't see this working out. Like, Lily literally said that she rates their relationship at like a 3 in terms of it's just really suffering at the moment. The brother got invited on. Josh's brother got invited on too. And I think he's just like trying his best to be nice about it. He's just like, I think they could still work it out. I think they could still like try. But looking at it from the outside in, I'm like, no, I don't think they can. I just don't see it happening. I'm sorry. But Corona and Ingi, this was an interesting turn of events. I knew they were gonna eventually split, but I didn't think it was gonna be this quickly. But it's very interesting how much, I don't want to say hatred, but very strong dislike feelings that Corona was spewing in Ingi's direction. I really felt it from the screen, like she despised that man. Now, apparently, Ingi had actually made a trip to the US because Corona did eventually go back to the US to do her schooling like she wanted to. It was after that trip that Ingi just decided, I'm just gonna disappear. He walked away, apparently. According to Corona, they had an argument and he walked away and she hadn't heard from him since that conversation. So I'm just like, wait, so he literally got up, packed his things, and left the country without telling you, and you have not seen him since? Like, what? I was so confused. Apparently she was like calmly talking to him and he just decided to get up and leave. So I don't know if entirely like what she said was true and factual. Like, she literally talked to him very calmly and he just maybe didn't like what she was saying, or maybe it was the way in which she said it and she's trying to make it seem like she didn't come across as angry. I don't know, I wasn't there. But either way, I kind of have to take what she says, you know, with a grain of salt. But I would have to say that it's very fascinating that Ingi did not want to say anything. Sarper was trying his hardest to be on Ingi's side and tell him, you know, like, you have my support, like, just come on the show, like, when it's your turn and say what you want to say and get everything off your chest. But he says nothing. Like, he says a couple of words, but he really just doesn't say anything. He doesn't explain anything. He's just like, yeah, I'm out of here. So Corona is just like, yeah, because he's a weak, you know what? She actually calls this man the B word. And I'm just like, wow. Do I think he was kind of cowardice for that? Yeah, because I've seen many men on the hot seat in this show and they don't get up and leave most of the time. They just stick it out. But for those who do leave, I do think that's kind of cowardice. Okay, I'm just going to be honest. Just kind of like, speak your truth, say what it is. And then, you know, you could leave afterwards. Like, the show is only, what, a couple of hours of filming for the day? It's just not that deep to me. I was just kind of like, Ingi, just say what you want. Eventually, Sarper is just like, well, I have to take Corona's side because he didn't say anything. And then they actually brought Ingi's friend on to try and defend him. I'm just like, where is Ingi? We don't want you, sir. We want Ingi. But anyways, you could obviously tell that Ingi has a very, like, chill demeanor about him. Like, that is his personality. He wants to chill and live his life in peace. Like, he doesn't want all this vim and vigor. He just wants to be in a cool, collected place, and nothing is that deep for me to be like screaming and hollering and losing my sanity. Like, it just, yeah. I'm not saying that Corona was screaming and hollering, but at the same time, you could see that she has a lot more liveliness to her and there's a lot more emotion. I'm obviously not saying that Ingi was emotionless, but there was a lot more showcasing of emotion on Corona's side. But either way, they're done, they're finished, and I think we all knew this was going to happen, but I think everybody knew except for Corona, and she was like stunned. But yeah, I wish her and Ingi the best, but at least they showed up. Statler and Dempsey didn't even bother showing up. So let's move on to James and Tata. Tata has made it to the States. At first, she decided not to leave with James when James was leaving because she claimed that he surprised her with buying the tickets, even though he asked if she was going to be coming with him at the time. She was like, yeah, I'm thinking about it, but she never actually said anything. So he just went ahead and purchased the tickets, and now she's acting all surprised like, oh, you bought the tickets and you're leaving without me? Like, yes, girl, like, we gotta go. But she ends up in the States, but only because he decided to actually get Tata's sister's visa thing sorted in terms of having the visa process started for her to come over to the States to visit. But the thing is, it's like, where is she gonna live when she visits? She's gonna live with you guys, right? So I'm like, how is that gonna work? When this woman has shown so much like disdain and disrespect for this man, it would make me so upset. Sean was just like, bro, find some way to stop that process because you're gonna regret it. And Tata's just sitting there like, you know, I'm just like, you're about to destroy your marriage. And you're just like, well, my sister's coming over, so that's all I wanted. It was so baffling to me. If her sister had a better relationship, like they literally, like she literally just apologized to James a little while before this tell-all, just a couple months before. I just think that's crazy. That you really think that they're going to be on the same page now that she apologized, like everything's good. And on top of that, she's crying on stage every 2 seconds, okay? Don't get me wrong, like I've said before, like I am a little bit of a crybaby, okay? I just personally don't cry as much as she does. Like I just think she cries the drop of a hat for everything. At the beginning of almost every argument that they had on this show between her and James, she started crying every time. And I'm just like, oh my God, Tata. I understand this is emotional for you, but I'm gonna need you to get this together, sis. Like, please, you're a grown woman. Let's get it together. I'm gonna need you to say a sentence without tears streaming down your face. Thank you. So she starts crying every 2 seconds. She's just like, I'm tired of being in the middle of them. Like, I can't choose between my sister and my husband. And I'm just like, yes, you can. If you're serious about your marriage working out and you guys getting to a good place, a strong place, and also your sister respecting your husband, you will have to choose your marriage. Yes, they did have like a whole year that they were talking to the sister, but at the same time, it's just like, out of all the siblings that you could have come and visit you, or even your parents, you want the sister that James had the issues with to come and visit you. Really? Really? The sister is invited onto the tell-all and she is like, yeah, I'm not interested in knowing anything about James. I don't really care for him like that. Like, that in short was what she said. And I'm just like, why would you want anyone like that in your house? But let's move on to our last couple. We got Joanne and Sean. Now that, you know, everybody knows about the whole marriage situation between the two of them, except for Joanne's father, she claims that she's still gonna, you know, tell him eventually. But it's just like, well, when, sis? Because, you know, you guys did share this on national television. Like, when are you gonna... Like, he's gonna probably see the show. So she hasn't told her father yet. But everybody else knows that they're married. And it's been an interesting ride. Sean has now made it to the US, but the thing is, it's like just for visitation purposes, I'm sure. I don't think it's for him to stay because he still has to work out what's going to happen with his daughter and all this other stuff. But they are trying to work out where they're going to stay. But Shekinah ends up in the conversation because I guess Joanne's mom is very opinionated, okay? She definitely does not hold her tongue. She's gonna say what she's thinking. But the thing is, Shekinah was like, listen, because she had very opinionated people in her family as well in terms of Sarper. But I think in Shekinah's case that Sarper is not the best, but that's who she chose. She's a grown woman. But in terms of Joanne's case, it's like, I guess Shekinah saw a little bit of herself in Joanne, and she was talking to Joanne's mom, and she's just like, yeah, you're really like opinionated, and that's kind of why she just didn't want to share anything with you. Maybe the relationship isn't as strong as you think it is. But Joanne clears it up. She's just like, no, we have a strong relationship. It's just that I didn't want her to talk me out of getting married to Sean. But the thing is, after a while, it's like, I think the mom was making sense because it's like, it wasn't really at the end of it about her not telling me initially. It was the fact that she waited 2 years to tell me that she's married. Even the auntie in the very like first episode, or I think the first episode that we saw them, Joanne in the show, she's telling her mom and auntie about her being married for 2 years, and the auntie's just like, well, even if you do elope and get married without telling anybody, usually right afterwards you would tell everybody. But she didn't. She waited 2 whole years. So I could imagine how that could cause a rift, but it's like eventually you would have to get over it, you know, because it is what it is. That's what they chose to do. But I think she really, like, they really should have just told everybody. I think Sean definitely wanted to say something from the jump, but Joanne was like, yeah, I'm not too sure about that yet, because she didn't want to tell her family, you know? But yeah, this has been a very interesting season for some of the couples. Some of the couples have been kind of boring, I'm not gonna lie. The first couple of episodes, I was like, oh, okay, we got some interesting couples, but then after a while it was like, this is getting boring. So we're going to be diving into 90 Day Fiancé before the 90 days recap. In my next video, you probably see me in the same clothes because I have a lot to say and I need to say it now. So that has been a lot more interesting to watch. I'm curious to see what other spin-off they're going to have new episodes for, or a new season for. But y'all let me know, okay, what your thoughts were on this season and also the tell-all. But I'll catch y'all in the next video. Peace.